Here are my favorite early to mid-tier game builds to use in Moco. The first build is perfect for levels 10 to 15, and the second is perfect for people levels 15 to 30. Both builds are super versatile and can handle just about any sort of combat. Okay, so the first build that we're going to go over is the levels 10 to 15 one. And around these levels, you should have all of these items. Now, the main weapon of this build is the Techno Fist. It's just overall my favorite weapon of the game. It has great ad control, and the overall single target DPS is really good. Now, the gadgets that I pair this weapon with is Smart Fireworks. Again, great for early game DPS and can clear out pretty much any wave of enemies, as well as do a lot of damage to single target enemies. The next gadget is Vitamin Shot. If you are struggling to survive at all, this item will actually save you. It instantly boosts your fire rate greatly, and it heals you. It also pairs beautifully with one of the passives that we're going to cover in a sec. Now, lastly, the third gadget is Pepper Spray. This single gadget melts hordes of enemies. It's perfect for rifts, dojos, or any world area that you are getting swarmed by enemies. It also holds up pretty decent against single target enemies, but overall, I would mainly use this with hordes of enemies. Now, for the passives, the first one is Vampire Teeth. Now, this one pairs with Vitamin Shot perfectly. Since you have increased fire rate from Vitamin Shot, and this heals every single time you do damage to an enemy, it's just perfect. The chances that you die using this build is pretty low, I can't lie. The next passive is Unstable Lightning. Pretty much any time that you're hitting an enemy, it has a 20% chance to strike them with lightning. This also pairs greatly with Vitamin Shot because the more bullets that you put out, the more lightning they're going to strike down on the enemies, so it just pairs beautifully again. Now, the third passive is Explode-O-Matic Trigger. Now, this passive pairs perfectly with Pepper Spray, and it absolutely eviscerates any swarm of enemies that you come across. Like, it just disappears. It's a crazy chain effect because as soon as one dies to your explosion, that one also explodes, and it just wipes out the entire horde. Like, it doesn't even stand a chance. Okay, that's all for this build, and if you use this build in any team activity, your team will love you. Trust me. Now it's time for the mid-game build. This is my current build that I'm using right now, and it's my favorite. Now we're using the exact same weapon as the one before, Techno Fist. Now you have a little bit more versatility with this build. You could use Speed Shot if you want to. I usually use Speed Shot if I'm doing a rift or anything that involves a single target enemy, but for the sake of this video, I'll be using Techno Fist because again, that provides the most versatility. Now the first gadget is Multi-Zapper. This gadget is an absolute must-have. I have not taken off this gadget since I got it. Now, assuming that you have a level 20 Multi-Zapper, activating this gadget once, it deals out 2,436 damage, which will absolutely melt any mid-tier enemy that you come across. Now, the next gadget is Spicy Dagger. Now, this item essentially applies a debuff that allows your enemies to take 25% more damage for a few seconds. Now, if you hit this before you use Multi-Zapper, this is where the damage starts to roll in. With a 25% increase, and assuming that you have a level 20 Multi-Zapper, you're immediately dealing 3,045 damage pretty much every 20 seconds, and that stacks up really fast. Now, the third gadget is Snow Globe. In my opinion, this is the best AoE gadget in the entire game. Drop this gadget in literally any scenario and everything will melt away. It's also really strong in boss fights because it just does constant damage in the background while you are still attacking and using other gadgets. Now, the passives for this build are also very strong. The first passive is Unstable Lightning, also pairs beautifully with Snow Globe because the more damage you deal with gadgets, it has a chance to strike the enemy with lightning again. So anytime there's a horde of enemies and you pop Snow Globe, it pretty much just also gets eviscerated. Also gives you just a good DPS bump on everything. Okay, next is Unstable Laser. Pretty much anytime you strike an enemy with either your gadget or your weapon, it has a 20% chance to activate lightning, and these lightning strikes do a lot of damage. They stack up over time. You'll just end up just destroying everything. And then finally, the last passive is Vampire Teeth. I think every build must have some way of healing because glass cannon builds in this game just don't really work. So I think Vampire Teeth is the most consistent and most reliable way of healing. And again, if you use this build right here, any one of your teammates is going to love you. Trust me. Okay, that's all from me. If you guys like these builds, comment down below that you like them. And if you hated them, also comment down below because I read every comment. And YouTube thinks that you'll like this video of mine right now on screen, so go watch it, please.